Hey guys, it's Eddie, the Scenic Explorer here, and this is going to be our first video in a long series of upgrades, enhancements, and changes to my 2022 Entegra Ethos 20T. Now this model, the Entegra Ethos 20T, is the sister product of the Jayco Swift 20T. So anything I talk about here will directly apply to that Class B van as well. And this could also apply to anybody with an RV or on the Promaster chassis. Really, this is kind of universal, but also specific to my particular Class B van that I have. And what I'm going to be doing here today is upgrading the reading lights that come with the Entegra Ethos 20T. Now, you might be asking, why are you going to be upgrading them? Is there anything wrong with them? Do you want anything better? And really, the lights that come with it, I think, are really nice. Operationally, they're easy to use. I like the colors. I like the look. I like the fact that you can have the soft blue light as well as a bright white light. I really like them. The downside of this floor plan that I found is that there's no good way to be able to plug in and charge using USB anywhere near the beds. You either need to be up towards the front or in the kitchen area. So one option is to add actual USB outlets somewhere in there and then wire them directly into the DC circuit panel. And I still might do that in the future, but at least what I wanted to do for now was replace the lights with lights that look and act similarly that also have at least one USB charging port on there. And that's what I found. Now, the lights I purchased are actually from a brand that I've never heard of before. Thalassa, I believe is how it's pronounced. And I'm actually going to throw a link down in the description for these particular lights, as well as some of the tools that I'm going to be using throughout this installation here. So before we begin, let's take a look at the tools that are going to be needed for this particular project. You're going to need a voltmeter, a Phillips head screwdriver or a Phillips head bit with a driver or screw gun, needle nose pliers, a wire stripper, and then I recommend using heat shrink wire connectors as well. And if you use heat shrink wire connectors, you're also going to need a crimping tool and a heat gun or a lighter to activate the heat shrink. Now, step one, find the fuse in the DC fuse panel for the lights, which actually was very easy to find in the Ethos 20T. Step two, remove that fuse. Now, step three is to remove the existing lights using the Phillips head screwdriver or a driver with a Phillips bit on it. Step four, you're going to cut the wires that are running to the existing reading lights. Step five, remove the screw holding the base plate in place on the new light using the included Allen wrench. Step six, you're going to mount the base plate for the new light. And I actually use the existing holes from the previous lights as kind of a template for where I was going to be installing the base plate for the new lights. Step seven, using the wire strippers, you're going to strip back about a 1/4 inch or so of wire on both the new lights and the wires hanging down from underneath the cabinet. Step eight, it's important to determine the polarity. So using your voltmeter, you can attach one lead to one wire and the other lead to the other wire. Now, I'm not going to go deep into polarity or anything like that, but basically what you're trying to do is determine which wire is positive and which one is negative. In my case, the black wire is positive and the white wire is negative. Step nine, you're going to connect the wire from the lights to the wires hanging from underneath the cabinet. Since the black wire hanging below the cabinet is positive, I connect it with the red wire from the light. And the black wire from the light connects to the white wire hanging below the cabinet. As I stated earlier, I like the heat shrink wire connectors for this type of application. Since this is an RV and I want to be able to take it on perhaps some rough terrain, I want to make sure that these connections stay in place as tightly as possible. And I have found that these heat shrink wire connectors work really well for that. All you need to use is a crimping tool, as well as a heat gun or a lighter to activate the heat shrink. Step 10, you want to determine the location of the USB port. Now, I decided to go with the USB port hidden, so mine is actually pointing towards the sides of the RV. If you want to make it obvious and know exactly where to plug in, you can arrange yours however you want. I just went with this as my arrangement. Something I can always change if I need to. And now that you know what position you want the light to be in, you use the included Allen wrench and you screw in the little screw on the side until it's tight, giving it a nice solid foundation. Step 11, add the fuse back into place in the DC circuit breaker box, and then test everything out. That's it. I think it's a pretty simple installation, and it's gonna add some additional charging capabilities for USB devices by the bed. One of the reasons I like that is because at night, obviously you can plug your phone in and it's right there by you, and you don't have to worry about getting up and walking to the front of the Ethos in order to be able to check your phone or whatnot. So I like the added functionality of additional USB ports. I personally wish that USB ports covered pretty much every square inch of the entire RV, but I think this is gonna help move in that direction. Now, the installation did take me under a half hour, and that's including setting up my camera and getting video clips of all this installation. If you are handy and this is something that's comfortable for you, definitely a half hour is the most amount of time it's gonna take. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoy it. As I mentioned before, I'm gonna be doing a lot more of these videos on upgrades and enhancements and changes to my Entegra Ethos 20T. If you wanna see more, the best way is by putting comments below, letting me know some of the things that you want to see videos of. And if you did like this content, it would be awesome if you could give it a like, and thank you for subscribing to our channel. And on that note, I will see you in the next video.